story tuned to report the UFC fight scheduled to take place this summer on the White House South Lawn will feature a weigh-in at the Lincoln Memorial. Wow, you got to work pretty hard to be the worst thing that's ever happened to Lincoln.
It's the worst thing that ever happened to Lincoln. Other than a Democrat shooting him in the head and murdering him, our first American president assassinated by the first Democrat Party presidential assassin. Because he loved slavery so much. It's a Democrat Party thing you wouldn't understand. Well, very good and happy Thursday to you, and welcome. Bill and Hillary Clinton due on Capitol Hill today. At least Hillary. Bill might be there as a show of support. A show of support. Or not, because he doesn't actually support her. But Hillary's supposed to testify under oath and on camera on Capitol Hill today about Jeffrey Epstein and the Clinton family ties. And Jeffrey Epstein close ties to the Clinton Foundation, financial ties, and wink, wink, maybe a lot more. Jeffrey Epstein to the Clinton White House while Bill Clinton was there. What was it, 17 times? I think 17 times. Jeffrey Epstein going to the Bill Clinton White House. I wonder if Hillary was ever there. She said she'd never met him, but then she invited Ghislaine Maxwell to Chelsea Clinton's wedding. And could you bring 3 dates for my friends? So a little Animal House reference there. Dawn Leibowitz. She was going to make me a pot. But that's going to happen allegedly on Capitol Hill. Hillary might just pull out and flee to El Salvador or something. Because they're crooks, that's the thing. But about Jeffrey Epstein and Hillary will allegedly be under oath and on camera, but they're not going to be airing it live on C-SPAN or anything, which would be more fun, I've got to say. And we could get audio sooner, but that's going to be a problem. So we're going to keep our ear to the ground on Hillary Clinton and maybe Bill Clinton going to Capitol Hill today to testify about Jeffrey Epstein. Hillary Clinton scheduled today. Bill Clinton scheduled to testify tomorrow. They don't really stick together. If you know what I mean. But the Clintons now in the Jeffrey Epstein thing. And again, we've got another Harvard professor that had to resign. We learned last night because of Jeffrey Epstein. And the former president of Harvard and former Treasury Secretary for Bill Clinton, Lawrence Summers, who likes to go by Larry Summers. He has... being forced out at Harvard, too, because of all of his Jeffrey Epstein stuff. So we keep going through this. They just want to lynch Trump. That's it. They shot him once. They tried to shoot him more than once. They impeached him for having a non-disclosure agreement with a woman who couldn't remember what year something happened in a department store in New York. And the Democrats, they're just waging jihad. They're a lynch mob. They've always been a lynch mob. And we've got a lot going on over there, the Democrat Party. They provide me with all of this stuff. There's one thing I do want to drop in here, and that is that the Wall Street Journal is breaking news. They say 12 hours ago. It's an exclusive, the Wall Street Journal. The Washington Post, they're not doing well over there financially. The headline is, Washington Post losses topped $100 million in 2025. More than $100 million. Maybe you guys are doing something wrong. I'm not sure what that is. The company recently cut staff by 30% as it looks to refocus its coverage. That's it. They should refocus their coverage. That would probably make everything better if they simply refocus their coverage. Maybe you should cover the news and tell the truth instead of doing Democrat Party propaganda. That might help. And Seeking Alpha, Washington Post lost over $100 million in 2025 report. And it's the Wall Street Journal report I just cited. The Washington Post, owned by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, also known as Dr. Evil, lost over $100 million last year. People familiar with the matter told the Wall Street Journal. They have multiple people who are familiar with the matter, which is better than finding people that are completely unfamiliar with the matter, I think. The Washington Post reportedly lost about $100 million in 2024, $77 million in 2023. Its financial woes were the primary reason behind the layoffs of 1/3 of its workforce, which eliminated its sports section and many foreign bureaus. You know, they're foreign, really. It's like a foreign object in your eye. Jeff D'Onofrio, nice Italian name, the Washington Post acting publisher and CEO, and its executive editor, Matt Murray, held a small meeting Wednesday to discuss the 148-year-old newspaper's financial condition and productivity. D'Onofrio told staff that expenses exceeded revenue between 2022 and 2025 as the Post hired hundreds of staffers in the prior years. He added that the number of news stories published by the paper fell, listen to this, by 42% since 2020, while newsroom costs were up 16% in 2025 when compared to 2020. So I'm guessing that what's happened here is they have Democrats running the place, and Democrats aren't good with math or economics or running a business, and they'll bankrupt everything eventually. We are about $38 trillion in debt in the United States of America, and why would any of this be a problem, right? So we got that. And we were just talking about this a couple of minutes ago, too, but the Democrats, they love child molesters, everybody knows that, and child sexual abuse and child genital mutilation and, sex and children with the Democrats. Something we should keep the kids away from the Democrats, that's for sure. But in California, here's the headline. Child predator dubbed monster parents fear most. That's a judge called him the monster that the parents fear most. Cleared for release through California parole program. David Allen Funston, 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 he's a Funston, was convicted of kidnapping and sexually assaulting multiple children younger than 7 years old in the 1990s. He's a grown man. A California child molester, once described by a judge as the monster parents fear the most, has been cleared for release under the state's elderly parole program, a decision local law enforcement said puts communities at risk, and prosecutors are now scrambling to stop. Can you believe that? We've got police chiefs and you've got prosecutors who are saying, oh, Lord, don't release this person. Are you out of your mind? He's a serial child kidnapper and rapist, and he was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences. 3 consecutive life sentences because he's such a creep, such a terrorist. The California child molester and the monster that parents fear the most. David Allen Funston, who's 64 years old now, was sentenced in 1999 after a Sacramento County jury found him guilty of 16 felony counts for a series of abductions involving children younger than 7. Funston received more than 20 years in prison, listen to this, plus 3 consecutive life terms of 25 years to life. Shouldn't it be 3 consecutive life terms plus 20 years? Should rather than 20 years plus 3 consecutive life sentences? After serving more than 2 decades behind bars, he became eligible for consideration for parole under California's elderly parole program. It's an elderly parole program, and he's not as young as he used to be. So the Democrats are like, oh, heck, let him go. He's 64. Is that elderly? Is that you're not old enough for his Social Security or any of that stuff? Maybe he's collecting early. So they say, well, he's 64 years old. Come on, he's elderly. Let's release him from prison for crying out loud. And isn't that amazing? Now, the Sacramento County Sheriff, he's the chief. He's got 4 stars on each of his collars on his shirt. His name is Jim Cooper. Jim Cooper. And he seemed like a really squared-away guy, actually. Sacramento County, California, County Sheriff Jim Cooper on the Democrats deciding to release the serial child kidnapper rapist.
There are some folks that deserve a second chance in life. Someone that does these type of things, they don't deserve a second chance in life. What are we coming to as a society here in California that it's okay with this, to let him out? What in the hell is going on in California? 100%. What is happening in our state? This cannot happen. It's not okay.
Democrats is the one-word answer to what's happening in your state. Isn't that amazing? And the Sacramento sheriff tweeted out, sentenced to 3 life terms. Why was serial child rapist molester David Funston granted early release? Early release. And in the mugshots, his mugshots, he's got a ear-to-ear grin, big smile. The people of Sacramento, every parent across California, deserve answers, the sheriff's office in Sacramento said. California Parole Board granted parole to David Allen Funston, a serial child molester. And the Democrats are, yeah, well, sure, of course we release serial child molesters that kidnap children under 7 and sexually assault them. And then we sentence them to 3 life terms plus 20 years. And then, forget about the 3 life terms. It's been 20 years. He's elderly. We've got an elderly. He's old. He's 64. Let's release him from prison because Democrats. Aren't they something? Yes, they are. Public safety is not public safety under Democrats. Unless you're a career criminal, an illegal alien, ideally, it would be better that way. Yes, sir. All right, so we got that. I wanted to get to that one because that's typical of the Democrats, isn't it? They're just on the side of everything stupid. And more than 90% of DACA, the Dreamers, and more than 90% of them arrested in the first year of President Trump's second term, the first 10 months, actually. And more than 90% of them are criminals that have criminal records other than being in the country illegally. And the Democrats cry and they sob, and, oh, the Dreamers, they're just children. They're like 40 because they've been here forever. And now 92% of them have criminal records that have been arrested. The 261, and the Democrats are sobbing and crying for the criminals because they want them loose on the streets to kill more and commit more crimes, like kill more Abrego Garcia, who's in court today because he wants a judge to throw out all the charges against him having to do with human trafficking. Here's the video, the police body cam video, of him being arrested with a vehicle full of illegal aliens that he was smuggling to Maryland. And that's okay. They like human trafficking, the Democrats do. They like cheap labor. You know, the first Civil War was because the Democrats really liked cheap labor. It was called slavery then. Now it's DACA, I think, is the thing. Aren't they great? Yes, they are. All right, and they're not on our side. They're not on the side of goodness. Let's go to the phones, Michael. Let's go to, I don't have any more audio on that, right? Yeah. Let's go to Roy, calling from Manassas, Virginia. Roy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Roy.
Glad you took my call. It's a first-time caller.
Welcome. Glad to have you.
Let you know you're my favorite, man. Back when I worked a 9-to-5 job, I used to take my lunch break and I'd listen to half you and half Rush.
Is that right? That's very good. Well, thank you very kindly. That's very flattering. Thanks.
Listen, I've been listening to the WMAL all day, and I keep hearing about the school board trying to shut down the school resource officers, getting them back in there. And their reasons are because they lead to more arrests and more school suspensions. Am I crazy, or is that saying that the reason they don't want them in there is because it would make the schools safer? I mean,
they don't want the schools to be safer. They want schools to be more dangerous. They don't believe in the Second Amendment. They don't believe in the Bill of Rights by extension because it's the Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights. But they don't want. They're anti-police, right, Roy? They're anti-ICE. They're anti-enforcement of immigration laws. They want DACA and gang members and kill more Abrego Garcia to be in school with your daughter. They don't want police in school because police are the problem. And when there's a school shooting, God forbid, let's call the police and, like in Texas, stand outside for an hour. The Democrats, under the Democrat plan, everybody is worse off. Everybody is less safe. Everybody's in more danger. Schools are more dangerous. And you say school resource officer, police officer in or outside the school. And Democrats say, we've got to ban that. What's the predictable outcome there, Roy?
Yeah, they lost their minds. I mean, I'll sit and I'll watch just like Trump last night when he gave the State of the Union.
Uh-huh.
I mean, these people I agree with him 100%. They're crazy.
They are crazy. Yeah,
it's just crazy.
Honestly, you ask him. He asked them, "Are you, the number one duty of government to protect American citizens?" And then he added, "Against illegal aliens." And they're like, "Oh no, it's the Democrats are here to protect illegal aliens from the law."
I mean, isn't that really some type of treason? I mean, they took an oath when they got that position.
They didn't mean it. They were only kidding.
No, they didn't.
No, they definitely didn't mean
They
it.
really didn't.
No.
They really didn't. Listen, Chris, I'm a truck driver. I've been a truck driver for a long time.
Uh-huh.
I used to drive over the road, but now I drive local.
Uh-huh.
And you talk about these illegal aliens getting CDLs, brother. I pass them on the road. I get up there beside them, and they have their cell phones in their hands with the steering wheel, and both feet up on the dash.
Wow.
Every time you pass one, their feet up on the dash. That's no wonders. I mean, it's like they're going for a Sunday drive in their daggone car.
What could go wrong? I mean, I always see.
What could possibly happen?
Yeah,
right.
I think illegal alien truck drivers with commercial driver's license killed six normal people in Indiana alone in the last couple of weeks, including 4 Amish. Killing people. The Democrats get people killed. Sad but true. Roy, glad you called in at long last. Thanks.
Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy. I'm telling you, they're crazy.
Okay, there's a lot to get to. I want to get to them. The Cubans killed a bunch of people yesterday. They're communists, It's the one thing they do well. They really don't do anything else well, but they kill people. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Mike calling from Hot Springs, Arkansas. Michael, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris Plant. I'm especially glad to get to talk to you. I'm particularly enjoy it when you say those people and these people. And I noticed that, and you just played a little clip of it a while ago, is when Trump looked at those Democrats over there and said, "These people are crazy." I busted out laughing about it. It was so great.
It was one of the great moments of the. It was a great speech. It was a great State of the Union.
Yes.
Did you see Rashida Tlaib chanting KKK?
Oh, man, they're sitting there scowling, all of them. It's like they couldn't stand it. It's pathetic. But, okay, so here's the thing I got to pick a bone about.
Uh-huh.
You often say the Democrat Party is not the party of old or the party of your grandparents.
Mike, I got to ask you to hang on. Can I ask you to hang on for a minute? Because I want to let you breathe and complete your thought. Can you hang in for a minute? I believe that Mike held in there from Hot Springs, Arkansas, and I apologize. Mike. I know you had a couple of things you wanted to say, and I didn't want to rush you.
It was just... I guess I get a little excited. It just seems like a contradiction that, when you say that the Democrat Party was not the party of your grandparents, but then you say it is the party of the Confederacy and the KKK. And so, did it change back and then change back, or, what? Because I think it's always been the party of racists.
Well... that's absolutely fair, and it is. Listen, you're right, and let me just say that the Democrat Party look at Jefferson Davis as the president of the Confederacy and the American Civil War, and they're the gray. The Democrats are the gray, and Republicans are the blue. The Union and Abraham Lincoln, and of course the Democrats shot and killed him after the Democrats lost the Civil War. Republicans took their slaves away from them, and then the Democrats they did all this is true, right? And they. Nathan Bedford Forrest, a big Democrat Party leader, created the White Knights of the KKK, and I met Senator Robert Byrd from West Virginia, who invented the KKK in West Virginia, where it didn't exist before Joe Biden's colleague in the Senate brought it along. And it's true that the Democrats, they're the party of Jim Crow, and And through the 1960s, they're the party of Sheriff Bull Connor with the attack dogs, the German Shepherds, and the fire hoses. That's all them standing at every schoolhouse door. Orville Faubus, yeah, you're calling from Arkansas. And Hot Springs, not Little Rock, but Central High.
Well, here's something about Arkansas you may not know. Is in my entire youth, up until when Rockefeller got elected governor, every election, whoever won the Democratic primary was it. There was no Republican candidate.
Right.
In almost every election, except for maybe in the northwest part of the state sometimes.
Yeah, that's the way the Democrats like it. They still like it that way in Virginia and Maryland.
Yeah, they want to be the only party. That's right.
Yeah, they like one party rule because they're dictatorial in nature. Now, let me say that the Democrat Party, and look, that Woodrow Wilson, the only president buried in Washington, D.C., he's in the National Cathedral, was a progressive Democrat, World War I, and he was
one of the original progressives, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, certainly be president, and he, the head of the movement, and he was a segregationist, and he segregated the government, the military. He wanted everything, the schools and everything else, education, segregated, and he's a hero, progressive Democrat of the Democrat Party.
My junior high school name was Woodrow Wilson Junior High School.
Well, that I tell you, there's the Woodrow Wilson High School about a mile from the radio station where I'm sitting right now. And they recently changed the name of the high school because, the Democrats are erasing their history. They're
they want to,
all vestiges. Hillary, Hillary Clinton testifying in New York today? I got Hillary on the brain, but it was Nancy Pelosi that decided we're going to tear down all the paintings in the Capitol and take down the statues and the sculptures and the busts and the stone heads of racists in the Capitol. And she went around with the Democrats, take him down, take him down. And every single one of them was a Democrat. Everything taken down by the Democrats out of the Capitol was another Democrat racist. And not a single news organization, maybe one or two, but not the Washington Post, the New York Times. None of them said, and every painting taken down was a Democrat, every statue taken down. They left that out. That's one minor little detail that they left out of it. Oh, they're taking down all the races. They're tearing down statues in Richmond, Virginia, which was the capital of the Confederacy in the American Civil War. And now the Confederates have taken over again with these ridiculous people, Scamberger.
My daughter lived in Richmond for a while, and I thought that Monument Boulevard was really cool with all of those statues, and they tore all those down.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It was beautiful, and it's part of our history. But the Democrats see it, and they act like the Taliban, and they say, "We don't. This is a reminder that we're the party of the Confederate States of America, that we're the segregationists, that we're the racists. The Democrats are all of those things." And they are doing everything they can. They're doing a hell of a job, too, of scrubbing their history.
It doesn't link them to their sordid past.
That's right. That's exactly right. Now, let me say that FDR came along, and FDR was practically a communist, socialist, and he loved Joe Stalin and, Uncle Joe and his good buddy, and the Democrats loved Stalin.
He once said Joseph Stalin was a nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy. So, nice guys kill 30 million people in their own countries from time to time. You got to cut them a little slack. But then the Democrats decided in the 60s when the civil rights movement came along, because and they saw that Sheriff Bull Connor was theirs and Orville Faubus was theirs and George Wallace was theirs, all Democrats, and the George Wallace campaign volunteer, James Earl Ray, that shot and killed Martin Luther King. And, this is the Democrat Party. And the Democrat Party shot Ronald Reagan, and they shot Donald Trump, and honestly, Charlie Kirk and Steve Scalise. And they're shooting people now for political reasons all over the place. And they have a long history of doing that. President McKinley and President Lincoln. And, the first three presidents assassinated were Republicans. And then Kennedy was killed by a communist or the CIA. You decide. And all this is amazing. But then the Democrats said, we're kind of screwed here, so we're going to have to change our image, right? And in the 60s, they made up this falsehood and said, the Republicans switched places with the Democrats. It's the Southern strategy, right? And even the New York Times wrote a long piece years ago now saying the Southern strategy is fiction. It's a myth made up by the Democrats. The Republicans didn't engage in the Democrat fantasy of the Southern strategy. The Democrats were the racists, and they should have if the New York Times and NBC News had not been corrupt in the 1960s. No black person should ever vote for the Democrat Party. No black American should ever vote for the Democrat Party. The Republican Party is the party.
Not according to LBJ.
Well, that's right. And then, LBJ's famous line, when he pulled a trick, and they did. They pulled a trick, and he said, I'll have those N-words deleted. I'll have those N-words voting Democrat for 100 years. And that's what LBJ said when they pulled a trick. And Martin Luther King was a conservative.
When you point that out to them, they just change the subject.
Well, yeah, that's right. And they they never heard this. If they've heard it, it didn't soak in. And they wash their hands of their own history. And this is where information dominance comes in handy, Mike, because in academia, you can go to college for the rest of your life, and you're never going to hear most of these truths that I share here. But you can have 4 degrees from Harvard, and you don't know that James Earl Ray was a Democrat Party volunteer for the Democrat racist governor, segregationist Governor George Wallace. Never mind all that, and that
that's not taught in school, or
right.
Anything.
That's right. Yeah, and that's because the first draft of history is corruptly written by the news media, and the second draft of history is corruptly written by academia.
Yeah, the thing you said about how people said the parties flipped and the Republicans became the liberals and the Democrats became the conservatives. It's such a baloney.
Yeah, it's such baloney. Nice stop there. You just saved it last moment. That was good. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. But because they get, they have the media live from, they go on TV and they say things that are untrue, and the anchors just sit there smiling and nodding, and then they say, "Thank you for being here." Like Adam Shifless, who lied to them every hour, every day for years.
He's a watermelon head.
Yes, and it is, and he lied to them about Russian collusion, and he's in on the. And I'll tell you what. Here's what's going to happen today, Mike, in Chappaqua, New York, where the Clintons have one of their multi-million-dollar houses. They have another one on Embassy Row here in Washington, just off of Embassy Row in Washington.
Poor boy from Arkansas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's he should have made good, but then he went wrong. And Hillary, they're testifying at the Performing Arts Center today. Hillary Clinton is testifying. The Congressional Committee went up to Chappaqua, New York, so that Hillary Clinton didn't have to come to Washington and testify in Capitol Hill. So Washington went to Chappaqua, New York, to make it more convenient for her and her vast team of overpaid lawyers. And they're in the Performing Arts Center, of all places, which is appropriate because she's going to be performing art when she lies her way through this. But I got to tell you, what's going to happen here, there are going to be Democrats in there, and they're going to come out, and in Adam Schiff style, they're going to come out and go to CNN and MS-13 cameras, and they're going to lie to us about what they heard in there and what Hillary said. And the videotape is not going to be released today. The video is not going to be released today. There are cameras in there. But these deals that were cut behind the curtain by the lawyers and the Clinton team, and we'll do this, but we'll only do it in New York and not on Capitol Hill, and we'll do it on camera, but not live on TV, but we can't release the video that day. So the Democrats are going to have time to spin it, and we're going to mint new Adam Schiffs today, who are going to come out and say, I was in the deposition, and she didn't say that. I was in the deposition, and here's what she said. And it'll be a year before we get the video, and then we'll all learn that we were lied to.
They forgot about that, right, by then.
Right, and then it's all because they know that's water under the bridge, and their voters don't remember what happened a year ago because they've got a lock on the idiot vote and, the moron vote that doesn't learn anything. But, these are...
Yeah, we got a bunch of universities full of morons. I just thought of something. Did you see that funny thing of yesterday, I think, where they just aired it yesterday, but they did it the day before the State of the Union. And they went to this university, I forgot which one, and was asking these students, what did you think about the State of the Union speech? And it hadn't even happened yet.
Uh-huh.
And they said, oh, it was bad.
I did not see that. Oh, I'm sorry I missed that.
And they didn't even know that it hadn't happened yet.
Oh, that is classic. That is just great.
They said, would you rate it from 1 to 10? And they all said, 1 or 2, And one of them said, I watched part of it, but I turned it off.
Wow. Oh, is that right? It sounds like it was Jesse Waters or something.
It was great. Yeah.
Oh, it was a Daily Wire. And Michael Piercy, because he's very, very fast with Al Gore's amazing internet. Michael Piercy just found it. It was the great people at the Daily Wire. What college was it? Students. So they went and they asked students the day before, or the day of, before the State of the Union had actually happened. Hey, how'd you like the State of the Union?
College kids are telling us Trump's State of the Union didn't go so well. The only problem? It's tomorrow. Rate Trump's State of the Union speech 1 out of 10. 1's the worst, 10's the best. Negatives. And why? I think we all know a lot of reasons. Yeah. What about the State of the Union last night? 1 to 10.
It was like a 1 or 2. I mean, it was all over the place.
Probably just give it a 0.
I'm gonna give it a 1.
And why do you say 1?
I don't think he's very articulate.
How did Trump do at the State of the Union?
0. I'm gonna be real, I didn't watch it.
I didn't really watch it much. I watched it for a little bit, but
The State of the Union last night. How was that 1 to 10?
No, it was last night. I thought it was tomorrow.
No, you're good. You passed the test.
Wow. That's great, Mike. I had not seen that. Yeah, it's tomorrow. She's the only one that passes today's IQ test. But the rest of them uniformly. Oh, yeah, it was terrible. It was at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., which I think is the most expensive university in America, isn't it? And they're going to school in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. The motorcade to go from the White House to the Capitol practically drives by George Washington University. They're just blocks away from the White House. And here are the geniuses. Their parents are sending them at great expense to the George Washington University in Washington, D.C., where the students there a few years ago wanted to tear down the bust of George Washington because, I don't know, colonialism or slavery.
They own slaves, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. And that's the Democrat Party. It's a mental illness, Mike.
That's right.
Listen, crazy, man, crazy. Well, that's great. And the
when you
Daily
them
Wire.
Say they want to preserve democracy or protect democracy.
Yeah.
Realize what they really mean is they want to make the Democrat Party the permanent majority, so nobody else has any say.
That's a fact, Jack. I know anyways. Mike, thank you for the call. Great Hot Springs, Arkansas call. Wonderful. Keep laughing, my friend.
Okay.
That is great. Wonderful stuff. And speaking of Democrats, I saw a story. Thank you, Michael. That's good fun. I saw a story yesterday that I grabbed because it got my attention. It reminded me of the self-immolating Democrat Air Force guy at the Israeli embassy who killed himself while shouting, "Free Palestine, free Palestine," and then the cilia in his lungs burned off and he couldn't yell anymore because he was committing suicide in his Air Force uniform while setting himself on fire at the entrance to the Israeli embassy in Washington.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
He's on fire. He's unwell. Well, yesterday I thought of him because former U.S. Air Force pilot arrested for providing defense services to the Chinese military. The Chinese military, this is why you shouldn't allow Democrats in the military. Former U.S. Air Force officer and pilot Gerald Eddie Brown Jr., also known by the call sign Runner, 65 years old. He should be released on elderly parole. A U.S. citizen, they note it's a U.S. citizen, and this is the Department of Justice release that came out yesterday. He's a U.S. citizen. They note that he's a U.S. citizen, which is kind of interesting, but there it is. Call sign Runner, U.S. citizen, was arrested in Jeffersonville, Indiana. This is yesterday. Now, Brown was charged by criminal complaint with providing and conspiring to provide defense services to Chinese military pilots without authorization in violation of the Arms Export Control Act. Brown is expected to have his initial appearance before a magistrate judge in in the Southern District of Indiana on February 26th, and that is today. The United States Air Force trained Major Brown to be an elite fighter pilot and entrusted him with the defense of our nation. He now stands charged with training Chinese military pilots. Sure, said Assistant Attorney General for National Security John Eisenberg. Now, when U.S. persons, whether military or civilian, provide training to a foreign military, that activity is illegal unless they have license from the State Department. The State Department, National Security Division will use at the Justice Department, will use all tools at its disposal to protect our military advantages and hold to account those who would violate the act, the Don't Share with the Enemy Act. And so this is pretty crazy stuff. Gerald Brown, a former F-35 Lightning instructor pilot. Now that's, a super airplane. It's the Lightning II, technically. F-35 Lightning II instructor. And an instructor pilot with decades of experience flying U.S. military aircraft allegedly betrayed his country by training Chinese pilots to fight against those he swore to protect. Sure. Now, this means that he's a Democrat. He's a Democrat, and he's a traitor. And I'm thinking maybe death penalty. What do you think? On the Mall. Maybe on the 4th of July, on our 250th anniversary. The guillotine, the Democrats brought a guillotine to Washington for Trump. Maybe we could ask him if we could borrow it. Hey, guys, guillotine, little help? We need a guillotine over here. Yeah, so Brown, now former Air Force officer, F-35 pilot, an instructor pilot. What in the name of... This is what the Democrat Party does to people. There's a lot of other news to get to. One final hour remaining for us on this American Thursday. Cuba says it killed 4 and injured 6 in a gunfight. What do they had? 10 people on a 24-foot boat that came out of Florida, an American boat. And they might be Cuban Americans that were killed. It's not clear if they're U.S. citizens or not. But it's kind of a big deal, a major international incident. The Democrats are on Cuba's side because, Trump didn't kill drug runners. They're on the side of the drug runners in that case.